Welcome, I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today we're going to be reviewing The Law of Innocence by master crime novelist Michael Connelly. If you haven't read Michael Connelly, you just gotta. I mean, I've got his whole collection. Here's about a third of it. The rest is upstairs in my library. If you've ever watched the Harry Bosch detective series on TV, Michael Connelly wrote all that. If you ever watched The Lincoln Lawyer, Michael Connelly wrote that. Movie starring Matthew McConaughey, The Lincoln Lawyer, was a great movie. Great book. And The Law of Innocence is one of those Lincoln Lawyer novels starring the lawyer that lives out of a Lincoln, Mickey Haller. You know, in the Harry Bosch books, you know, I think I reviewed the last Harry Bosch book, and it's magnificent. I mean, there's about 34 Harry Bosch novels. There's about 6 or 7 Lincoln Lawyer novels, and this is the latest one. Just came out this week. Just got it, just read it, and I loved it. Let's talk about it. The covers, we always discuss the covers. Because I like graphic design, I like the packaging. I think all the Michael Connelly books look pretty sharp, just with sort of the typeface, the name, the title, maybe a little picture in the background, sort of. I think they look good. Covers, good job, good graphic design. Who is the Lincoln Lawyer? Like I said, he's a lawyer who defends people that can't really afford a defense. He lives out of his Lincoln car. He's sort of homeless. What happens is, in the beginning of this story, so I do some writing advice with my videos here. If you want to learn how to set up a mystery scene, set up a very intriguing beginning to a thriller novel, read the opening scene of The Law of Innocence by Michael Connelly. It is spectacular. It starts off with just our main character, Mickey Haller, pulling out of a court. In his Lincoln, he pulls out of a courthouse. He's immediately pulled over by a policeman. The interaction, pay attention to the interaction between the lawyer and the policeman, and how the tension builds, and how the suspense builds, and how things just don't seem quite right. And anyway, in this, you know, the cop is being very evasive. Our lawyer is being very evasive in this traffic stop. The cop eventually says, "Hey, step out of your car." The lawyer's like, "I don't need to step out of my car." The guy's like, "No, you're going to step out of your car. You know, you have to. I've got probable cause to have you step out of your car. You need to step out of your car." The lawyer's like, "Okay, I better step out of the car." He steps out of the car. The cop says, "Okay, look, your license plate on the back is missing. That's why I pulled you over. It's as simple as that." And the Lincoln Lawyer is like, "Oh my gosh, I did not realize that my license plate had gone missing. I can't imagine. You know, maybe it got stolen, whatever." He's like, "I apologize for being kind of a douchebag to you, Mr. Police Officer. I didn't know why you didn't really give me a good reason you were pulling me." Just pay attention to the way that whole thing plays out. And then what happens is, as they're discussing the missing license plate, something red drips from the trunk to the bumper to the ground. And the cop is like, "What is that?" And the Lincoln Lawyer's like, "I don't know. Don't know what that is." And the lawyer's like, well, that looks like blood. I need to search your trunk." And the Lincoln Lawyer's like, I don't have probable cause to search my trunk. I do not consent to you searching my trunk." And the Lincoln Lawyer's like, "I don't know what's in a trunk." Oh my God, but there is definitely something that looks like blood dripping out of my trunk right now. I'm pooling on the pavement. And the cop is like, "No, I've got exigent circumstances." And one of the things that's great about this opening scene is everything in it is so well researched. All the terminology I'm using with you, exigent circumstances, probable cause, all of these things are police terminology that you wouldn't really know about unless you were a lawyer or a cop. So, you know, we know that Michael Connelly's doing his due diligence and the research. And he's written so many novels. It's probably just second nature to him now. I work in law enforcement, so I appreciate it when the terminology is done right, and Michael Connelly always does it correctly. So that's another reason you need to study this opening scene, is because just all of the interaction and interplay. He knows what lawyers are. He knows what policemen are. He knows both. Michael Connelly knows both professions so well that he can put together a dialogue between two people belonging to both professions, and it is absolutely 100% legit and realistic. And you got to get that. When you're a writer, you got to nail that stuff. And he does. And so the cop says, exigent circumstances, I'm opening that trunk. I don't care how powerful of a lawyer you are. I don't care how famous you are. I have cause to open that trunk. He opens the trunk, and there's a dead body in that trunk. That's the opening scene. Dead body in the trunk. Now we've got our mystery, because the Lincoln lawyer's like, I don't know how that dead body got there. But anyway, he's arrested. He's thrown in prison. And now he has to defend himself against this murder case, where everything in the murder case is going against him. Like every play, it's like murder, like clues are left, and everywhere the Lincoln lawyer has been, clues of this murder have been left. And so it's just like it's like a rock solid case. He's the guy that did it. But the Lincoln lawyer is like, I didn't do it. So I've got to prove that I didn't do it. Someone is setting me up. And there we have it. That is the premise of this book, and it's fantastic. Oh my gosh, this is a fantastic book. And part of it is set in the prison, because our Lincoln lawyer is put in prison, and I've worked as prison guard. I've been there, done that. I know how prisons are, and that's another thing that Michael Connelly has researched, and he's got it right. The way the inmates treat each other, the way the guards treat the inmates. There's a scene where the Lincoln lawyer is he's got all of his legal papers. He's trying to defend himself in the court, and he's staying in the prison, but he's going to court every couple of weeks. He's got all this legal work. His legal work gets stolen out of his cell in the prison, and he goes to the guards and says, my legal work has been stolen. You need to search the pod for my legal work, because one of these other inmates in here is taking it. And the guards do what guards do. And it's probably what I would have done in the same situation. It's like, hey, not my problem. If it was so important to you, you needed to take better care of it. That's what the guards did. That's what the guards said. Hey, man, you lost it. It's your property. You lost it in the middle of a prison. Hey, that ain't the guards' It ain't the guards' duty to go search for your legal work. If someone took it from you, you got to go find it. And by the way, inmates can't search other inmates' cells. So he's kind of in a quandary. He's like, these prison guards are just being douchebags, and it's kind of that way. It's kind of that way. The Law of Innocence, that's the setup for the whole story. That's really all I need to give you to get you interested in this. And it's also got another little twist. It's the first novel that I've seen that's used COVID-19 pandemic as a plot twist, to be honest with you. I won't get into that too much, but it is mentioned. And you can tell some of Michael Connelly's and the Lincoln lawyer's sort of feelings on COVID-19 and the lockdowns and how the president handled it and all that stuff. It's in there. It's interesting. It's fun. It's fun to read. It's cool. It's awesome. I love it. Guilty until proven innocent, right? Well, here's the thing. There is no guilty, not guilty in the law. That's why it's called the Law of Innocence. There is no true innocence. Once you've been accused of a crime, you're going to be, that's a scarlet letter on your forehead for the rest of your life. And this is the theme of this book. Once you've been accused of a crime, there is a scarlet letter. Even if you are found not guilty, people will always think you're guilty unless the Law of Innocence comes into play. And do you know what the Law of Innocence is? They actually find the guilty person. That's the only way there is a Law of Innocence. You will, even if you're found not guilty of the crime, everybody's going to think you'd had something to do with it. Unless the Law of Innocence comes into play and the actual killer is found. And then the slate is wiped clean. And that's what our Lincoln lawyer is going for. He's like, I just can't prove that I'm not guilty of the murder. I've got to find who did it. And I've got to find who did it while I'm in prison. Just a magnificent novel. A fantastic novel. Everybody should be reading Michael Connelly. If you're not reading Michael Connelly, you're just not even a well-read reader. I mean, this is a straight fact. So go out and get anything by Michael Connelly. Any of his Harry Bosch novels, any of his Lincoln Lawyer novels. Because this is a 10 out of 10, folks. As are most all of his books.